All right, attention in the pit area. We need Nostalgia Top Fuel to the staging lanes, please. Nostalgia Top Fuel to the staging lanes, please. Nostalgia Top Fuel to the lanes. Fans in the grandstands are out there on the grounds. You may want to head for the grandstands or get a good vantage point as qualifying session number 3 for the Heritage Series Nostalgia Top Fuelers coming up.
All right, for over 90 years, Mallory Ignition Products have helped bring countless racers to the winner's circle. Their passion for racing is built into every innovative product we make, including ignition boxes, fuel systems, and tune-up parts. Developed by professional racers and performance enthusiasts, Mallory products pack the power, quality, and performance that separates the novice from the champions. To find out how Mallory can help make a winner out of you, hop onto our website at holley.com. With over 30 years of race-proven technology, Flowmaster has the sound you want and the performance you need. With over 15 choices of sound, you can fine-tune the sound that you want for your car from aggressive to mild. I kind of think it's from mild to wild. Flowmaster also offers high-quality stainless steel exhaust systems, high-flow catalytic converters, performance air intake, and now exhaust systems for UTVs. Go to flowmastermufflers.com for more information.
.60 index coming at you right now. Cody Crown out of Rotunda, West Florida. 17 years old here at the controls of this 2020 Murph McKinney built, Donovan powered dragster. Cody Crown going through a licensing process this weekend. His best so far is 690. I expect to see a little bit more performance today as they sneak up on it. He comports himself pretty well there in the dragster. Awful lot of 17-year-olds that are just driving junior dragsters right now, and here is Cody behind the wheel of this supercharged monster on the left. Going through the gears down there, 665 at 207. A little bit better each time he goes down the track, 665 at 207 miles per hour. So nice looking lap there for Cody. So as one more of our 6-0 cars comes rolling around, the band want to remind you that tonight we'll be honoring our inductees into the National Hot Rod Reunion Hall of Fame. Our Grand Marshal, Carl Casper, along with Bunny Burkett, Hal Canode, Roy Hill, Cotton Perry, and Ed Quay, all being honored this evening. Come and join us at the National Corvette Museum, 6 p.m. tonight. And join our master of ceremonies, Mr. Bob Fry. Yeah, the crowd goes wild, Bob. I think it died down already, Bob. But Bob will be there, and we will recognize our honorees. It is free and welcome, open to the public. So come on out and join us. If you've never been to the Corvette Museum itself, that in itself is a treat. And then join us for this evening's festivities, all part of the National Hot Rod Reunion. Dave Baylock out of Parma, Ohio. And you hear the machine cackling right now after the burnout. Baylock in the time machine. Race fans, you'll want to get to a good spot to check out Nostalgia Top Fuel. They'll be coming up next. They're gathering in the staging lanes right now. Their third of 4 qualifying sessions coming up. We've already seen some great performances this weekend. Looking for improvement as well in those categories. As the kings of the sport, Top Fuel will be coming up next. We'll have a special guest joining us here to tell you all about the action here in Top Fuel. Dave Baylock. This big block Chevy cackling right there for you. Over here on the right hand side. See the clutch dust fogging behind the car. Baylock at the stripe, 667 at 193 miles an hour. The crew looks very, very happy with that as they raise their arms, rejoicing the pass there. On the right hand side for Dave Baylock, 667 at 193. So with that, we're just moments away from qualifying session number 3 for the Heritage Series Nostalgia Top Fuel. We also need funny car to the lanes, Nostalgia Funny Car. We need you to report to the lanes, please, for your qualifying session as well. So, great job by everybody involved in the Baylock operation there. Do a quick broom and drag here. Get everything cleaned up and in readiness here before we bring out the top fuelers for qualifying session number 3. Everybody knows that nitrous is the world's best power adder, and everybody knows that NOS is the #1 nitrous system. But did you know that NOS is celebrating over 40 years of being a nitrous powerhouse? NOS offers the most complete line of systems for street or race vehicles. When you're looking for throttle in a bottle, go with NOS, the leader in nitrous technology. So qualifying session number 3 coming up for Nostalgia Top Fuel. You see our drivers getting suited up over there, getting all the proper safety equipment on, getting strapped in, ready to go. We'll tell you all about qualifying in that in just a minute. Also, Nitro Funny Car. Nostalgia Nitro Funny Car. So far, we've only had one funny car attempt to make a qualifying run. That was Levi Keenan in the Illinois Thunder car. Levi, we've seen him running with the Funny Car Chaos folks this season, and here he is at the reunion.
Besides these two, where are the other cards for the pro stock? Are they still over there?
and had the opportunity to tell you just a minute ago about the honoree ceremony tonight at the National Corvette Museum. And your master of ceremonies, Mr. Bob Fry, and Bob joins me here on the announce deck. And Bob, looks like a great day for racing out there.
Every day is a great day for racing. By the way, remind you that the reception tonight at the Corvette Museum is free. I mean free, like no strings attached. And we're going to give away a 2021 Corvette. Is that right? Oh, no, that was last night. I'm sorry. So if you folks missed, I'm sorry. My bad. We gave that away last night. But if you get a chance, the honorees are back at the tent during the course of the day, right near where you picked up your goodie bags. And it's a fun thing over at the Corvette Museum. You can go through a little tour if you want, get a chance up close and personal to our honorees. It is a great group of people we have there tonight. We hope that you'll come on out and be part of it. I mean, Carl Casper, our Grand Marshal, a unique individual in his own right, a guy that has been around the sport for a long while and has just done some marvelous things. I mean, a tremendously unique personality. He's got a book back there, a little bit of his history, a little bit, it's like 300 pages. So great to have Carl here and all of his friends. His Young American Drags is on display there. But really, if you get a chance later on in the day, probably get underway 6 o'clock-ish or so. We'll finish the racing up here a little bit after 5, but get a chance, come on out and be part of that, because it is a great way to honor our honorees here this evening. And like I said, it's free, you know. You don't get a lot of things in life that are free. So come on out. We hope you get a chance to see you there. No reservations required, but you'll get a chance to meet all the honorees in one place. And I've seen most of them. I don't know if I've seen, well, Cotton Perry was out there racing a little while ago, ran into Hal Canode and Ed Quay, and of course Carl Casper's down there. And Roy Hill, one of our honorees, will not be here, still recovering from a freak accident that he had, but you get a chance to come on down and be part of that. But it's going to be a really fun night tonight. We really look forward to seeing you all there. Of course, you also get your free program that is put together basically by John Jaduga, formerly of National Dragster, and Greg Sharp of the museum. It is a marvelous magazine. The information, the pictures in there are all just fantastic, and great stories on all the honorees, a little history about each one of them. Very well done, very well written. Carol Bunny Burkett, our other honoree, who unfortunately would have been honored last year and passed away, but we'll have some representatives for her there this evening. But the books that they put out here are just really so very well done. They're all in your goodie bag when you got them over there at the tent for coming in, and get a chance to see Cotton Perry, who's out here racing today. And just a wonderful way to wrap up your day at this annual Holley National Hot Rod Reunion, presented by the NHRA Wally Parks Motorsports Museum. And we really hope you get a chance to come down. They've got the top fuel cars down there in the staging lane. It's been a wonderful year for the nostalgia top fuel cars. And watched the qualifying yesterday, and some of the cars ran, some sat out, but today you'll get a chance to watch. And Dan Horan, who really got a pretty good start to the season out there in Bakersfield when he ran earlier this season. I was going to call it the March meet, but of course it wasn't in March, but then the Winter Nationals are going to be held in July, so what do I know? But so Dan Horan leading the way in the points, and Tyler Hilton in the second spot. Great to see them here. Dan, like I said, had a wonderful run out there at Bakersfield in both the top fuel and the funny car categories, with number 1 in top fuel, number 2 in the funny car class. Tyler Hilton was the runner-up out there in the top fuel category. Jim Murphy's also back there in the staging area. And, well, it's great to see Jim here, a guy that raced over 50 NHRA national events in top fuel and funny car. And 1997, he really started getting hot out there at Bakersfield, had a run for the next 10 years. It was basically unparalleled in Bakersfield history, no matter how far you go back to that first race in 1959. But a wonderful field of cars lined up. We'll see how many of them come up. Adam Sorokin, that legendary family name, driving the legendary race car. Brandon Murray's down there, glad to see that he made it. And apparently it took him a little longer to get here than he had hoped for. It's what happens when you call the AAA 3 times on your way to the races. But wonderful to have all those drivers and more. I'm just telling you a couple that are down there in the staging lanes getting ready to go. But we want to thank all you folks for coming out. We know it's been a tough last 18 months for a lot of people, and we're just so glad that we can get back to some semblance of normalcy here, or as normal as a drag race can be. But it's a wonderful event. We want to thank all the great folks at Holley for their tremendous support of this, the Auto Club, all the great fans that have come out. We really appreciate you. The show cars over there, the show and shine, the swap meets over there. If you want to buy that louvered Finnegan pin for your 1938 whatchamacallit, they got a couple of them over there in the pit area, in the show area, because, I mean, they got all kinds of cool stuff over there. I would like to explain some of the technical stuff to you, but I don't know. Got a lot of shiny silver stuff there. Got die cast and shirts and gas pumps and valve covers and, well, just everything you expect to see in a swap meet. So the swap meet's over there. The show and shine cars are on display around the facility. The Top Fuel cars are coming up. And again, just great to be here. And this historic racetrack, it really does go back into the history of NHRA drag racing. I was thinking when Cotton Perry ran a little while ago, he ran down here in 1978 when we used to have the Sports Nationals at this event, and he won the race. So one of our honorees actually has a little tie into this track going back, let's see, 1978, long time ago. Let's see, 78, 88, 98, 2008, 2018. Wow, almost 50 years. But and it's a great thing about a lot of our honorees are still involved. Hal's still building chassis. Ed Quay's still writing stories. Roy Hill's still teaching people to drive. Carl Casper is still talking about Carl Casper. Well, I mean, yeah, hey, you know, when you got a legacy like he does, I mean, it's amazing. Great story. He'll tell you a little bit more about his life tonight over there at the Corvette Museum. But, so we really hope a lot of you will come over. Like we said, we love to see the fans there. You really make the event. It's great for the honorees to look out and see a full house. And did I mention it's free? If you've never been to the Corvette Museum, come on over. And it really is a fun night. And just a nice way to tell our honorees how much they've done for the sport. And I said, the good thing about the honorees here, and I'll mention this again tonight, is it's not all the drivers that have won 100 races or divisional championships. It's people that have really paid their dues in the sport. I mean, Cotton Perry's got a great resume of wins and final rounds and championships, but, you know, Ed Quay is a name that may not be familiar to a lot of people, but he's built some of the winningest cars in the sport. Hal Canodes, former UDRA champion and national event winner, and one of the most talented chassis men in the history of drag racing. Of course, Bunny Burkett's legacy was such that what a pioneer in the sport she was for women before it became the way to go. And it's just a wonderful activity tonight. Of course, they'll be over there at the reunion tent during the course of the day, so stop on over. And we hope to see you tonight over there at the Corvette Museum. And if you're sitting there saying, gee, I wonder what it costs, then you weren't listening. We're going to have to ask you to leave. It is absolutely free. But wait, if you order before midnight, oh no, all right, sports fans, we got Top Fuel dragsters coming in. We got the best of the bunch for the nostalgia cars, and we got the best of the bunch to tell you all about it. Hot Rod Bob and his special guest.
All right, thank you, Bob Fry. Hey, we've got some great racing for you. The Top Fuel cars are going to be here in force because this is their next to last qualifying pass. Yesterday, they took it kind of easy. We had about half the field come up and qualify. Today, it's going to be even bigger and hotter. Jim Murphy, number 2 right now, taking on Tim Cullinan. This is not a race. This is just qualifying. The bump spot, 624. Sitting along with me right now is Top Fuel champion Larry Dixon. Larry, how you doing today?
Doing great. You know, here watching some Top Fuel. So this is, I don't know that it could get any better than this.
You know, this is the old school. The engine's in the proper location. Of course, you drove them with the engine in the back.
Yeah, but watching my dad race Top Fuel cars in the 60s and 70s, that was why I wanted to race Top Fuel cars. Just grow up and try and be like my dad. So to see these cars here, see all the fans here, no masks, breathing nitro, I don't know. It's awesome to be here.
All right, thanks, Larry. All right, getting ready. Jim Murphy, currently number 2 out of Santa Rosa, California. The 2013 Nielsen Parks chassis car with the Rodeck 417. He's had a best run so far of 579. He's behind the number 1 spot of Dan Horan. Tim Cullinan, number 8 so far. So Dan Horan is the man with the target on his back right now. running 570 in his final round of qualifying yesterday. 900ths of a second behind is the man in the right lane, the Jecky's lane, Jim Murphy. Tim Cullinan in the bump spot right now. He's on 624. He's got to improve. There are going to be guys coming up that haven't run yet that can knock him out of his seat. So he's got to improve that 624 run. So the pressure is on Cullinan to improve. Murphy, he's already solidly in the field number 2 spot, but he does want to hold on to that or move ahead of the Hot Rod reunion, or not the Hot Rod, the March Meet champion, Dan Horan. So we're going to see some good racing here, good times. They're pulling out the stops. They've got they got 2 qualifying passes today, and then they go into eliminations tomorrow here at Beach Bend Raceway. So Murphy here in the right lane, crew looking over the car. Tim Cullinan, 2 green cars getting ready to go. Cullinan, as I said, is on the bubble right now with that 624. He's got to get the power to the pavement. He can do it. Murphy already in the number 2 spot with a 572. He's got high mile per hour with 262 miles an hour. So he's definitely got the horsepower there. He's just got to get it planted. 3-stage lights are lit as they move forward. Track conditions are excellent. Weather a little warm. Shooting away. Cullinan not giving up. He's headed there. He backs out of it though. 597, not an improvement for Murphy. 253 miles an hour. Cullinan, not a good run for him. His 624 will hold so far. He's got one more shot at it later this afternoon. All right, Larry, when you were running back in the day with the rear engine cars, what was the strategy going in? First hit, second hit, when did you want to put down the best run that you could?
Well, you know, I think back to my time with Dick LaHaye when he was crew chief in the car, and he wanted to have a baseline tune-up. That first run, unload the car, have it go down the racetrack. It seemed like it would run 453 or 463 just about anywhere, and then from there try to improve. We'd always shake the tires on the Friday night run. We could never get it right there. But then the Saturday morning session, like the hot heat of the day run, that one there, we always seemed to make our best run of qualifying, and that seemed to set us up for race day. So that was it, though. You just really wanted to get your car qualified so you didn't have to worry about it.
Just a quick announcement. I'll interrupt this round of Top Fuel. We'd like to wish a very happy birthday to Jennifer Wilkerson. Having a birthday today. Always a great way to come out, watch the Top Fuel cars run. Go to the Corvette Museum tonight. Hey, Jennifer, it's free. So if you'd like to go on out there. So from friends and family, to all the folks in that Wilkerson family, a very happy birthday from all of us here at NHRA and the Holley National Hot Rod Reunion. Happy birthday to Jennifer Wilkerson. We would sing, but we don't want to clear the place out.
That's true. You know, and Jennifer, just for your birthday, you can come to the Hot Rod Reunion recognition tonight for free because it's your birthday.
How much is it to get in?
It's free.
Thank you.
All right, we're getting ready, running wild. Brendan Murray from San Jose, California. A 2010 Reuben chassis car. Brendan switched over from a big block Chevy to a Hemi a few years ago. He was the last in the 5-second club with his Chevy-powered car. Dan Horan Jr., he just won the March meet. He was the number 1 man in Top Fuel and almost did it in Funny Car, was the runner-up in Funny Car at Bakersfield at the March meet. He's got a 2019 Bowen chassis car, 426 Hemi, a TFX Hemi in Brendan Murray's car. 2 California racers, Horan from Southern California, Murray from Northern California. They've driven all the way here to be part of the Holley National Hot Rod Reunion. I'm Hot Rod Bob. Alongside me is Larry Dixon, here today for you at the Holley National Hot Rod Reunion Beach Bend Raceway. Brendan Murray pedals it on the burnout, gets back in it again, and gets side by side with Dan Horan. Digger Dan Horan as he goes, which was his dad's nickname when he raced Top Fuel, or Curly as we called him. He had a short wheelbase dragster, and I can remember him winning one of the good guys Top Fuel races with the old cars that he ran back in the 60s, and this was in the 90s. So, Dan's dad, Curly, kept on going until he couldn't any longer.
Yep, my 1 degree of separation with the Horan family is when I used to work at a speed shop in Southern California, the Horans would come in there and buy parts. This is going back a long time, but way back in the 80s. But yeah, and they're still racing, doing their thing, and obviously still getting it done and done in style.
Yeah, Dan has gotten a long way from when he started. He took his dad's short wheelbase car, lengthened it, and that's how he got into the top fuel cars, and then he ran funny cars. He's had many people tune in for him, including Ron Tobler, who was just on a show with one of our guys, Steve Gibbs, and Hook Nose. All right, so here we go. Dan Horan Jr. just came on off a win at Bakersfield. He's out of Silmar, California, over in the Budweiser lane. In the Jegs lane, it's Brendan Murray from Northern California. He was the last racer to get into the 5-second club, and it was Chevy Power back then. He's got a Hemi now, and you can see the wrong on kill. Horan's got the edge going through the lights. 584 for Dan Horan. His 570 will hold. Brendan goes 665. Not going to be enough to get him in the field on that run, but that is only his first pass. Now he's got the baseline like you were talking about, Larry. He knows where to tune from here to get into the show. The bubble right now is still number 8, Tim Cullinan, but he can get knocked out quickly. Now, you've been running a new car lately. You're taking people for rides in a twin-seat car. Tell us a little bit about that. No, okay. All right, but you're doing something else. You're working with Doug Herbert in a special program to teach kids how to safely drive.
Yeah, Doug Herbert tragically lost 2 of his sons to a crash on the regular streets, and so he came up with a defensive driving school for teens to be able to teach. So I do that maybe 10, 12 weekends a year to trying to pay it forward, try and keep all our teens alive. My 2 of my teens have gone through it. I got 1 to go, not quite old enough yet, but we will definitely get him there. But doing that. Doing a little bit of match racing with the regular car. Street cars, I got my 1 car that I run on drag week, the 66 Chevy 2. It's got an LT4 in it, getting ready to put LT5 in it, try and pick up the ET a little bit more on that. But having some fun, enjoying cars. Enjoying cars a lot right now.
All right, that's a good thing. And Doug Herbert's program called Brakes is a great program. My wife and I actually went through the program when it was out of Pomona a couple of years ago, and we learned a lot. And one of the things I like about Doug's program is not only does the child go through it, the teen, but so does the parent, because normally the kid gets the bad habits from the parent after watching them drive for many years.
Yeah, for sure. And most parents haven't been to a driving school since they got their license, 20 some odd years back. And a lot of things have changed with cars and technology, anti-lock brakes and just even hand position. Like we learned at 10 and 2. I mean, that's what it was, but we didn't have airbags then, so now it's 9 and 3. Get your hands out wide and just, and adjusting your mirrors so you don't have a blind spot. It just, when I learned to drive, they didn't have a side view mirror on the passenger side, so you had to look over your shoulder. Well, now, every car in the world's got side view mirrors on it. So it just, basic things like that, like, didn't really think about it. Definitely want the parents to go through just kind of a refresher course of what we're teaching, so when the teens do come home, that it's not like, hey, that isn't how we learned. It's like, no, this is what we've learned, and this is why we've learned it. So
yeah, we were taught how to point and aim, and now you can turn the car, you can hammer the brakes with ABS. You can still turn. You can avoid accidents. It's not just hitting the pedal and stopping and hoping you don't hit. It's turn the wheel. You can do that, and that's what we're teaching the kids. We've got a little bit of stuff down there we're taking care of on track. We'll get that back to normal, and coming up next is going to be Dan Horan Jr. No, the Dan and Brendan Ran. We'll see who's coming up next. So more racing action, top fuel qualifying coming up at you right now. And we're going to see more action. Mike Taylor and Jimmy Young getting ready to come up next. We'll tell you a little bit about them. But drag racing, still a growing sport, contrary to what you may hear from other people, because drag racing is still alive and well. In Southern California, where I'm from, we run every Thursday and most Saturdays still in Irwindale. We've got guys coming out with Hondas and Challengers. The Challengers, that is a car to buy right now. These guys are coming out with these supercharged Challengers. They're putting out as much horsepower now in a street car as I can remember we used to yearn for in a race car. 707 horsepower with a street car, and it's got air conditioning and a stereo system.
Yeah, I don't think of myself as being very old, but it's like I do remember pro stock cars when they broke into the nines. and now you've got, I got a Chevy 2 that I actually run here at Bowling Green. I'll drive it down from Indianapolis here, gets 22 miles to the gallon, and it runs nines with your street car. So it's just that's the one thing, like there's some things that you long for the old days, but then there's other things like modern technology with horsepower that I don't want to go back. I love modern technology when it comes to horsepower.
Yeah, and then modern technology goes back even to the economy-sized cars. If you think about it, in 1965 and 1966, Carroll Shelby was building the GT350s. They had 307 horsepower, and they were very competitive cars. You had no stereo, you had no air conditioning, you were lucky if you got power steering. They had a 4-speed. Today's Mustang with a 4-cylinder has 311 horsepower, a stereo that is beautiful, air conditioning that keeps you cool, a supple ride with independent front and rear suspension, and you get 30 miles per gallon. You were lucky to get 10 miles per gallon with an old GT350. Now here's some trivia if you want to, at the bar tonight, you want to win a bet. Why was the Shelby Mustang called the GT350? Now if you search it out a little bit, you'll find out it was because there were 350 steps from the shop to Shelby's office. And that's how they came up with the name GT350. It was a Mustang GT 350, had nothing to do with the engine. The engine was a 289. It had 307 horsepower. It was not a 350 horsepower motor car. Now, another thing to think about with those Mustangs is Shelby only produced the GT350 through 1967. In 1968, Ford Motor Company took over production of the Shelby Mustangs. Shelby's name was still attached, but he had nothing to do with it. Today, you can go up to the Shelby American facilities in Las Vegas and watch them build the new Shelby Mustangs and the continuation Cobras. It's right outside Las Vegas, right on the highway there as you're entering Las Vegas, and the tour is free. You can see that there. So hot rodding has made a big difference in my life, your life, and everyone's life here because it's the basis of drag racing, the sport we love, and we're here to see today. And Top Fuel, other than the ban that NHRA put on Top Fuel for a few years, has been quite a big part of NHRA and drag racing history. And some of the people that made that history are here, or they are the family of those that are here. And that's in just about every class. We've got father and son coming up tomorrow to do a side-by-side match race in fuel altered. And it's just the way drag racing is. And one thing we've noticed is drag racing family. I've got so many people I know because of drag racing, including you, Larry, and Bob Fry and others that are just great. There's a lady running around here today who's all of a sudden gotten involved in drag racing, and we've met in social media. She's been following drag racing and such, and she's here today. She was talking with my wife a little while ago about drag racing, how enthusiastic she's gotten about it after finally getting involved, and she's not a youngster. Her kids are scratching their heads going, what's happened to mom? She's gone to the dark side, but she's interested in drag racing, and we keep bringing more and more people into the sport and the hobby. Look at all the stands. Look at the people in the stands. This place is chock full. We're glad to see you here at Bowling Green Beach Bend Raceway for the 18th Holley National Hot Rod Reunion. Thanks for coming out today. And time for that gratuitous plug. Since 1958, Hurst Performance has been at the forefront of developing legendary products, including manual and automatic shifters, Hurst wheels, and the roll control. Hurst also offers a full line of quality products from modern muscle cars, suspension upgrades, graphic packs, and more. Now you can build your own version of a modern-day Hurst muscle car with the finest products designed and built by people who know performance. Hurst Performance, one of the Holley family members. Go to hurst-shifters.com. Bob Fry talked a little bit about the swap meet area and all the chrome shiny pieces, but there's more than that. There's some cool stuff out there. Pedal cars, Hot Wheels that you won't find anyplace else. Of course, there's the engine parts, and my favorite was the Henry J out there. You know, I got a soft spot in my head for Henry J's, had one a couple of times, and there's one out there, and it's the deluxe model. It actually does have the trunk lid. So check it out. $2,500. You can go home with a car that can become a great gasser or streeter. Mine was going to be a kind of like a pro street, but I was going to do it differently using a turbo Thunderbird engine and a 5-speed. I thought that would just be neat with a 1,900-pound car. Would run pretty good. But it's all in how you look at the cars and what you can build, and you can find plenty of things to build cars with out here in the swap meet area. But check out the Manufacturers Midway with all the new stuff. I just got a custom print for a friend of mine of GTOs. He's a GTO fanatic. He's got 3 of them right now. And I got a special art piece done for him right back here in the Manufacturers Midway area. So check it out. You can find just about anything and everything you need for your hot rodding hobby or addiction, as some of us call it, here today at Beach Bend Raceway. All right, remember, folks, if you cannot hear our PA announcements, turn to let's see, we got us on the FM dial. 87.9 on the FM dial, or streaming video at dragracer.tv or on the NHRA site. All right, Jimmy Young coming up in the right lane. Jimmy Young out of Salem, Wisconsin. Mike Taylor out of Berwyn, Illinois. Mike Taylor qualified number 5 with a 6:02. Your number 3 qualifier, Jimmy Young with a 5:86, 239 miles per hour. Still the top speed of the meet has been Jim Murphy at 262. He's blowing away everybody with that. The closest to him being Dan Horan with a 248. But Murphy definitely has the horsepower and is up there at 262 miles per hour. Now, on the back motor cars that you've been driving, when you started driving, what kind of speeds were they turning?
Oh, they were low 300s, to the quarter mile. I mean, I think Bernstein maybe had gone like 314 or something like that at the time, about when I got in. And now, gosh, they're going almost 340 to 1,000 foot. So they've definitely upped the power level for sure.
When the front motor car stopped running, the quickest front motor car was a 617. That was the record held by the final runs of front-motored cars. And they were running about 220, 230 miles an hour at that point in time. But in 1971, 72, they switched over a lot. Everyone went to rear-engine cars after Don Garlett's situation where he nearly cut off his whole foot with the transmission explosion. Now, he was trying something new. It was a planetary gear transmission, and there's a lot of theories about what happened to it. All right, here we go. Engines firing up. Mike Taylor out of Berwyn, Illinois is fired up first. He's over in the Budweiser lane. Jimmy Young's crew squirting the fuel and firing up here in the Jeggies lane. 624 is the bump spot. Mike Taylor is at a 602. Jimmy Young, number 3 qualifier, solidly in the field with a 586. But there are still racers in the back that haven't made a run yet that could knock him down a notch or two. The bubble sitting at 624. I don't think that's going to hold for much longer, but we'll see. Temperatures are up. How does the temperature affect the nitro car?
Well, it's just with the humidity, you get more water in the air, and if there's more water in the air, there's less air in the air. So you got to try and work your way through it. The nitromethane helps because it's got its own oxygen molecules to it, but still, it'd be a lot better. Well, it looks like we had trouble there. We might have lost fire on the left-hand lane.
All right, it looks like Mike Taylor has lost fire, as you said, gotten silent over there. They're not running up there quickly with the starter to get it lit. I guess they think there may be something wrong and they're not going to push it, but they're going to bring it back, and maybe they will hook the starter up. Nope, they say they're broke. So they're not going to make the run. They'll hold on with their number 5 spot right now at 602. So something did happen to the car on the burnout, backing it up actually, not even under power. So Jimmy Young getting a single right now. He's in the number 3 spot, 586. Let's see if he can improve. This is the heat of the day. So we're not sure how the cars are going to react. As you said, he tells it he's all over the place, taking the long way down the track, pops the chute early, 644, 202 miles an hour. That was one wild ride. Now we're looking at the streaks going down the track where the tires were, and he almost got on the shoulder there.
Yeah, it looked like it tried to pull the tire off the car, spinning the tires maybe a little bit further than 100 feet out, and with him not having a run before, just trying to collect data, to try and improve for the next session.
Yeah, the next session temperature should be cooler. We'll be coming back with top fuel at 3:30. Not much longer from here. I mean, right now we're looking at 1 o'clock, so just 2-hour turnaround time. They're going to be back in the lanes, getting ready for their final qualifying passes. Now, coming up, a car that we've been looking for. This is Adam Sorokin in the Champion Speed Shop car. Now, I haven't seen the car in a while. This looks like a new one. It's got a new paint job on it, but they run the car with the enclosed canopy. And they also run a small block Chevy configuration. Now, small block in configuration, size-wise, he's right up there.
Yeah, it's really neat to see all the different configurations. I mean, you're going to see Hemis, early and late model, and you're going to see small block, big block Chevrolets, and this is it's an awesome class. That there's enough variance in it that everybody's trying to skin a cat a different way, and they all seem to get it done.
All right, Adam Sorokin hasn't run yet, and his partner in this run, Gerald Hegley, he's out of Quakertown, PA. 13 S&W chassis car, has not made a run. He's running a 427 Chevrolet, and it is a big block configuration. So you got a small block Chevy in the right lane, a big block style Chevy over in the left lane, 2 Chevys trying to get in the show. Crew looking on at Sorokin's car. They think they've got it all set up. It's kind of neat. You look at Sorokin's car with the slicks, this thing looks great. But when they take it off the trailer, it's got like 15 or 16-inch antique car tires and wheels on it, and it really looks straight. I'd like to see them do a burnout with that. I mean, I don't think that it has trouble sometimes holding traction with the slicks, but it looks cool. It's a canopy car. The body work on this thing is amazing, and it is a beautiful car. You look at the canopy opens up. They're talking to Sorokin now, and he's telling them, yes, he does want fries with that later on when he gets back to the pits. So they'll hook the canopy up, get ready to go. It's the only car in nostalgia racing with a full canopy.
Very interesting, this race car. And Larry, you're a California guy, born and bred. The champion speed shop here, the guys from up around Half Moon Bay. Is that considered Northern California? Because that was like a whole different area of racing than the Southern cars, wasn't it?
Yeah, you get above Bakersfield, everything's Northern California from that point. At least for me, growing up in the San Fernando Valley.
There's such a great history with this race car. The McLennan family did such wonderful things with it. And Adam Sorokin, of course, a legacy driver in this sport. And again, your dad probably raced against his dad.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we've got scrapbooks at home, showing them, racing each other. It's great to see him, and see that Sorokin name out there, and not just out there, getting things done too.
All right, Sorokin in the right lane, continuing the family legacy. Mike Sorokin was his dad, who ran Top Fuel. Gerald Hankley getting ready to go at a Quakertown, PA. Adam Sorokin, the hired gun in the champion speed shop car. They got a Dart block in this car, 427 cubic inches, jet-style motor. Two Chevys contesting the Hemi dominance. Right now, the lead vehicle is Dan Horan with a Hemi. Right behind him is Jim Murphy, also a Hemi. The favorite? Well, you never know. Sorokin has won here before. He also lost last year to a driver still to come up, Tyler Hilton. So anything could happen. This is a race where you never know what the outcome is going to be. Number one qualifier can go out in the first round. It just depends on how the combination works. With the weather here, like you said, the humidity in the air, the moisture that takes away some of the power for these cars. Wiping off the tires, but strangely only wiping off one side. They didn't wipe off the left side. Could that create a problem?
I'm sure there's a method to the madness, or they've only got one guy that'll do it.
Only one tire wiper. So we'll see what happens. Speaking of tire wipers, Don Perdome was the tire wiper for Tommy Ivo when he was racing. Runs it hard and straight. Is he going to stay in it? He does, but he gets across the line after the finish line, and Sorokin, 585, 225 miles an hour. Hangley at a 666. Sorokin runs right up to the number 3 spot behind Murphy. 225 miles an hour, 585 behind Murphy's 579 and Horan's 570. So the small block is working. Hangley, he's got one more shot at it. The bump still is Gary Wheeler Jr., this time with a 610. That's the bubble. The bubble's moved up to 610. We may have a very low 6-second, hopefully an all 5-second field by the end of qualifying later today.
Yeah, and guys that don't get a lot of credit for is the cleanup crew, right? We've seen him clean up that lane, then we see a 585 go down the track. He used all of it up. I mean, you saw fire, out of the right bank out of it, but the safety crew's down there right on top of things. Looks like everything's going to be okay, but yeah, it's a great run and in a great lane. I mean, the conditions-wise, this is as hot as it's going to get during the day. So to be able to lay down a number like that, I mean, he's kind of showing his muscle right now.
Yeah, and normally Adam doesn't run a full pass when he takes his first pass. They normally shut off at about 1,000 feet, get their data, figure out what they're going to do, and the last run is usually the one he puts it all down. But this time he stayed in it right to the end, and we saw him get a little out of shape there right after the finish line.
Yeah, my guess is that he used up more of it than he wanted to on that particular one, just because of the 225 mile an hour speed.
Yeah, he was down on speed, but the ET was right there, and at the stripe, at the finish line, it's who gets there first. It doesn't matter how fast you're going as long as you're the guy that takes the light first. So we'll see what happens. Funny cars are pulling into the lanes right now. Bob, what's up?
Well, Larry, we're talking about that champion speed shop and the great history there, the Sorokin family. I mean, it's probably one of the only father-son teams that actually won Bakersfield. I mean, the dad won it back in '66, and the kid won it, more recently. But it's pretty cool to see them carrying on the legacy. And same thing with the McLennan family, with the champion speed shop out of Half Moon Bay. I mean, there are two families involved there that are really just legacies in this sport.
I can only speak from my position. It's like you as a kid growing up at the races, watching your dad race, and And it ends up all the people out there, a lot of them are your heroes, and then you want to grow up and be like them. And I think it's great, to see the names generational. And no different in our sport than you would see even in like stick and ball, where a Ken Griffey, Ken Griffey Jr. grows up, or Al Unser Jr. or Dale Earnhardt Jr. The different sports, you see your dads and you want to grow up and be like them. So I think it's great to see that get passed on generational.
Same thing with the Hilton family that's coming up. I mean, that's like a third generation almost. You got grandparents on both sides that were like winners, and you actually raced against some of them.
Yeah, well, my dad, when my dad ran Division One and Division Two, when he was driving for Larry Minor in the late '70s, racing against Bobby Hilton. Then you see Tyler Hilton. I cheer for them, for a couple different reasons. One, Jim and Allison Lee. I mean, that's a legendary names in the sport. I mean, Allison Lee was Carcraft Crew Chief of the Year, back, when guys like Ed Pink and Keith Black would win it, and you got Allison Lee actually winning it. So that for me is great. And now, the car that they run, they run a Chevrolet engine, and my dad, raced the Chevrolet car on the family car. So definitely partial to the Chevrolet bow tie.
And it's interesting in the fuel classes, 1977 was the last time a Chevrolet-powered fuel car won a race, and they were Stan Schromm and Rance McDaniel in the finals together. Why is it that the Chevrolet just did not evolve like the Chrysler did as the engine of choice?
I'm going to take a wild guess and say because Keith Black and Ed Pink didn't think of doing it.
I would take a wild guess because they can't make as much power as the other ones, because in so many of the other classes, the Chevrolet, the bow tie, is the engine of choice. I mean, so many of the street rods and bracket racers and everything.
I can tell you just a little bit from experience, from talking to the guys back then, the between round service, pulling off the heads off of a Chrysler was so much easier with the rocker stands and everything. It was way more user friendly on a Chrysler Hemi to be able to take it apart than a Chevrolet, where you've got the individual rockers, and guys have come up with shaft rockers and things like that. But it's still, you can't tear down and put a Chevrolet together as fast as you can a Chrysler Hemi.
We talk about these second and third generation families, and you look at a guy like Jim Murphy, who back in the early 70s was qualifying #1 in a funny car and still at it. Like I said, in that range between 97 and 2007, he was like everybody else was running for second place out of Bakersfield.
Yeah, for sure. They had the BB and Mulligan, then BB and Murphy, and those names are just, those are the people I watched, as a kid growing up in the sport and wanted to, be like them. So it's still neat to see, guys like Jim Murphy still out here getting it done.
Your buddy Ed McCullough won a race out there in Bakersfield driving one of Jim Murphy's cars. It still had the Holy Smokes name on it and everything like this. But it's interesting to see. You're a second generation racer. I've been around this for over 50 years. It's such a great sport, and it really is wonderful to see the families passing these traditions down to their kids and grandkids.
It really is. It's doing things as a family. I mean, I still remember literally my mom picking me up from school in the afternoon, and then that night you'd be there'd be a night race at Irwindale or Orange County or one of those events, and you'd go out there and run. But like, you did everything as a family, and so we're still here, still doing it.
It's so cool to watch a lot of those pictures from the year your dad won in Pomona. And he also won a lot of other races out there in Southern California. A lot of pictures where you're in the winner's circle and sometimes sitting behind the wheel.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, back when he ran, there weren't that many NHRA national events. There was probably, in the early 70s, there might only been 4 or 5 on the circuit. But there was other huge events like a Bakersfield March meet, a Hot Rod Magazine meet, the PDA events, some of those things that were really big events that attracted all the hitters. And and he was fortunate to he won all of those ones. So it was cool to be a part and and to see all that happen. And it him doing what he did made me want to do what I'm doing right now.
I know they always tell a lawyer never ask a question you don't know the answer to, but I always remember having a real Don Steele T-shirt that had the flames were like in gold leaf lettering on it. Do you remember that?
I remember the Real Don Steel car, a lot. I mean, that was a big DJ in Southern California, and they put a deal together. And that huge sponsorship deal, I think, was like they supplied all the nitro when they went and go. So it wasn't like these multi-million-dollar things. And you got a sponsor, but just buying nitro, even back then, everybody in the world would like to pay those prices that you did then. But it was still a lot, back in the day. Everything's relative to those times. It was they supplied the nitro, and I remember some of the shows we had the car on display at, and it was just a really good looking car, and it was just neat to watch them race it.
Talking about nitro, of course, Red Greth, who drove the Speed Sport Roadster, just passed away recently. Just a wonderful man. And I've got, he'd sent me some things over the years. When they won the World Series of Drag Racing in 1960, they got a certificate for 5 gallons of nitromethane fuel, and I have that certificate at home. He sent it, they never cashed it in to get the fuel and everything after winning that race, but it's so neat to have that, and a couple other nice memories of Red.
The funny thing that you say that, it's like I can literally remember going with my dad on the way to like Irwindale. We'd stop off at this place and he'd buy nitro, and he'd buy like 2 5-gallon like cans of it, and it was in square metal cans. And nowadays when we like warm our car up, I mean literally you're burning over 10 gallons just for a warm up. And so to think that you could make it through the evening on 10 gallons is just it's silly.
Well, it's funny because I'll read reports of national dragster races back to like late 60s, early 70s and say, wow, the top fuel cars had a real problem. They had to replace 2 pistons after that one round. I said, 2 pistons? These guys laugh at that. And they wish they had that.
Yeah, pistons, that's the cheap part of the date now.
It's amazing. Anyway, it's great to watch these top fuel cars there. We really appreciate the families. I know Paul Smith and his family are coming up in the alcohol funny car funny car category, and Paul was one of our honorees the last time we had this here, and so nice to see him. And that's what these reunions are all about, to honor the people there that have really been literally the backbone of the sport. May not have been the biggest national event winners or something, but without them, we wouldn't be where we are today, literally.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just, doing things as a family and going out there and you're getting that support from the entire family to go out there and do it. And that's, that's what I grew up in. So, when you get the opportunity, you get older, it's like, yeah, I wanted my family out there with me and to share in that. So we could, I think that's the only reason we have scrapbooks is just from pictures at the racetrack.
That's so cool. Don't forget, after this, we got a lot of other great racing coming up, and I'm going to be able to sit in when they have the Nostalgia Pro Stockers coming in, including one of the classic Nostalgia Pro Stock match race between the Lee Shepard tribute car and the Bob Glidden tribute car. That's going to be way cool. That was one of the great rivalries in the Pro Stock category. Anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, Hot Rod Bob, but it's cool because I'm watching these cars like watching my whole life flash in front of me.
Thanks, Bob. And you've got some insight. You've got all that knowledge about all the history of the sport. I can talk about the mechanics a little bit, but the history, you were there. And, you saw it happen. Now, you talked about the things about growing up with your heroes. How was it like growing up and then becoming a driver for Don Perdome?
It was, obviously it was great for my career and to be able to, the thing that I really liked was, working on his pit crew while he was still driving the funny cars and then the dragsters, and just seeing him work, and how he raced everybody and how serious he took, and it definitely made a difference in, helping mold my career.
All right, coming up right now, John Lorvicki, a fighter pilot, he says, F-35s out of Peoria, Arizona. Another long-distance driver coming in for this. He's currently sitting in the number 7 spot with a 609. That is not going to hold for very long. He's got a Nielsen Park chassis with a Donovan 417. It's kind of a small block at 417 cubic inches.
Yeah, it's the old elephant motor, right? The early Hemi. That's what. Gosh, our sport was probably pretty much founded on the early style Hemis, and the Donovan was probably the top shelf piece of the early Hemi style engine.
And you talk about easily rebuilding and pulling the heads off it. We've got stories of guys in the hotel rooms in Bakersfield cleaning the parts in the bathtub, and they'd rebuild the cars at the hotel because transporters didn't exist back in the early days of drag racing. You were lucky to have a 2-wheel open trailer.
Yeah, I've got pictures of Dick LaHaye, I think, in my basement on the wall, and all his parts are in these different hotel ice tubs, like the Holiday Inn and the Ramada Inn and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and there's many a carpet that's been replaced because of those guys. All right, another car pulling up, and it looks like John's going to get a single run as the car in the right lane has not got a 156 reaction time, and at the stripe, 6 6:06, a slight improvement, good mile per hour at 240 miles an hour. So it puts him still in the number 7 spot, but he's a little bit better off at that 6:06 than he was. All right, coming up now, we're talking about Hilton a little while ago, and I believe that's him here. We'll see as they come up. So Tyler Hilton won this event 2 years ago, and then went out to Bakersfield, did a great showing there as well. He was runner-up in Top Fuel at the March meet just a week or so ago. Christy Satterley, please come to the tower. Christy Satterley, please come to the tower. You are today's winner. All right, they're going down the track. They're checking the track right now after each run just to make sure everything's all right. The crew going down to pick up their car. Tyler Hilton getting ready here in the Jegs lane. All right, Tyler Hilton patiently waiting. Bobby Hilton getting ready to go with him. Julius Hughes from Gainesville, Georgia, the 56-year-old speed shop owner of the 2011 Horton chassis car. He's also running a small heavy, 413.
I don't know if Larry remembers the Julius Hughes name or not, but they had the Atlanta Speed Shop down there. In fact, it's still on their shirts. Division II Hall of Fame people. They used to run a race down there always before the World Finals, and it paid $10,000, and I'm talking back in the 60s with it. And if you went there, and for the first couple years, if you won that, it almost seemed automatic. You went and you won the World Finals. Pete Robinson, Benny Osborne, but the Julius Hughes name is really legendary, especially down in the southeastern part of the country. Great to see them out here racing. They showed up a couple of years ago with this race car, but a name that is not quite as familiar as a lot of the others, but in the history of drag racing, if you went down there and ran, and you got Pete Robinson and Val Laporte and Randy Payton and a lot of the great Southern guys, didn't always get the press like the California guys did, but some pretty good drag racers down there.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely remember the Atlanta Speed Shop name, and you kill me. You know everything about everything.
I just think I do. Unlike the in-laws. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Was that out loud? I didn't mean it.
You got me sold.
Doing the burnouts now. Julius Hughes puts them up in smoke over in the Budweiser lane. Tyler Hilton, coming from a great run at the March meet, was runner-up to Dan Horan at the March meet. He had won previously. He won here as well at the last Holley National Hot Rod Reunion. And he's kind of the dark horse coming into this and running. Bobby, his daddy, guiding him back here behind the car, is a street rod builder now. He's got his own hot rod shop, and got to chat with him a little bit at the Grand National Roadster Show a couple of years ago. He's gotten out of the seat, put Tyler in the seat. Tyler, 30 years young, one of the younger drivers in the category, and he's doing quite well. They're running the Chevy configuration, 438 cubic inches up against a 413 cubic inch Hemi. Tyler's qualified number 5. Julius Hughes, not a qualifier right now, sitting in the number 12 spot. Rubin looking at the car. Photographer getting a picture of the engine up close and personal. Sniffing the nitro, getting a whiff of it in his face. The bump now 610. Tyler out in front. A little bit of smoke going through the finish line. 597. His 595 will hold, but he pulls in with a full 246 mile an hour run. plenty of miles per hour there, but Tyler Hilton will stay with his 595. Julius Hughes moves up to number 9, still one spot out of the show. The bump spot is number 8 with a 610. Julius goes 619 at 243 miles an hour. So he has a good mile per hour run. It's a matter of getting the power to the pavement. May have spun the tires just a little bit. We're checking the track. Everything seems to look okay. And the Hilton crew going down to get their driver. Hughes chasing down as well.
Because there are always a lot of bragging rights. I saw that what's the number one qualifier is what? 5.70. And I don't like to, put Bowling Green ahead of Bakersfield, but the low ET out of Bakersfield this year was a 5.73. Ironically, by the same guy that's number one here. So that is a bad race car that Dan's got out there, but it's always cool. Tracks love to say we're the quickest, we're the fastest, or whatever, but anytime you can say that you did something better than the folks at Bakersfield, of course I'll get letters from the California guys now, but it's interesting. And for Dan Horan to do what he's done this year with both the Top Fuel and the funny cars, pretty impressive.
Yeah, for sure. And conditions-wise, it was very hot out at Bakersfield when they ran that event. But you come here, people here are dealing with humidity, and you just can't run the car the same way that you were doing in dry air, like the conditions they would have had. And you come here, you got to make a lot of adjustments. And to see Dan Horan, obviously, they got their game face on. They know what they're doing.
It's pretty impressive when you do that at different tracks, different weather conditions, and just prove the consistency because, that's what it's about. We got a couple of Thunder cars coming up, and it's not hard to figure out where they're from. You got the Bluegrass Thunder and the Illinois Thunder both coming up. Bob, where's your home track?
Irwindale. And I'm there every Thursday night. If you get out to Southern California, stop by Thursday night under the lights at Irwindale Drag Strip. We also run the first weekend of the month with NHRA Summit Series and Test and Tune on